Today we're diving into a highly anticipated yet still somewhat hidden free-to-play MMORPG hitting early access soon, Brighter Shores. Developed by Fen Research led by Andrew Gower and his brother Paul Gower, the minds behind RuneScape, this new game promises to blend the classic RPG vibe of point-and-click adventure games with fresh and unique twists to freshen up the MMO space. Not much is known about it so far as it's still under media embargo before early access, but enough to showcase and see what makes it so exciting. First up, the game's development journey. Andrew Gower and the indie studio Fen Research have been building this game for over a decade already, with a so far very small but passionate dev team. The work began way back in 2010 already with their brand new and innovative game engine FanForge that would be the foundation of what makes Brighter Shores stand out in a crowd of MMOs. Apparently, this custom-built engine is designed to make gameplay feel a lot smoother and immersive, avoiding delays, latency issues, or so-called tick-based mechanics like in other similar isometric games. It's built from the ground up for responsiveness, meeting up-to-date player expectations and modern controls, making it one of the more future-proof engines out there, a perfect shell for their brand new MMO. So what is Brighter Shores? It is a point-and-click adventure fantasy MMORPG inspired by Pathfinder and Dungeons & Dragons that shares similarities with other isometric games such as Albion Online or, of course, RuneScape, Andrew Gower's previous big hit. It is a grand passion project for Fen Research with the apparent ambitions to freshen up the rather stale MMO space with new designs and ideas never properly implemented before, with Andrew Gower saying, "If anything, we tried as much as possible to do things that hadn't been done before, but there are certain staples that you kind of have to have in a fantasy setting to make it work." The world of Brighter Shores is made in a grid-based system divided into smaller rooms that we'll traverse through and explore, with each room being their own sort of mini-server as far as I know, both for design and stability purposes, and despite the initial fear of this room system, it's promised to be seamless and quite elegant. As you walk around the map, it will fill out in sort of a classic RPG-style feeling of exploration and discovery. Each room will have its secrets, elements, and objects to discover, with everything having the option to be examined through their unique information cards that hide secrets and cool collectibles for players to immerse themselves with. And don't worry, there's combat to be found too. Now, Brighter Shores is set in a fantasy world called Edothria, where players will begin as simple town guards in a city of Hopeport, where our first encounters will slowly lead us towards the ever-expanding grand story of a larger, mysterious threat affecting the entire world. Just like exploration and immersion will be a core element of the game, quests are also intended to be meaningful and well-crafted to avoid the cliché and repetitive fetch quests of many MMOs out there, and while the embargo is still around, most closed beta participants were praising the quests found in the game, mentioning you keep getting lost in the world in a good way, and that it finally feels like playing a new game that you know nothing about and feels fun exploring. The story and progression will be divided into so-called episodes, which is also how the development and monetization of the game is handled, which we will talk a little bit later. This more curated experience of the story is also reflected, by the way, in Andrew Gower's choice of not making the players choose their character classes from the get-go, saying, "Personally, I hate it when you start playing a game and the very first thing they ask you is an absolutely critical decision, when you have absolutely no idea how you're going to make it." So as a result, we only have to choose a class a bit later into the game from the three base options of a Cryo Knight, a Guardian, or a Hammer Mage. And while first impressions might be that you're choosing between traditional archetypes here, you aren't choosing between, let's say, a fighter or a mage, but all the three classes will have access to magic, ranged or melee combat, and rather you're choosing between the theme and the playstyle of them, Cryo Knight using ice magic, Guardian's nature, and Hammer Mage using storm magic. Combat seems to have the least amount of public information about it, while also being one of the most crucial game elements that's everyone interested in, but from what's available, Brighter Shores is featuring a real-time turn-based combat system similar to RuneScape, or if you like CRPGs, somewhat like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 or the new Pathfinder games, but more relaxed. Combat flows automatically and naturally, but still follows turn-based rule sets for mechanics and calculations that happen in the background. From Andrew's comments, gameplay is designed to be more chill and not reaction-based, but that shouldn't be confused with easy, as they still intend to have difficult content in the game and eventually more advanced skills and many items to use for combat advantages. It looks like many D&D elements will be borrowed, such as different elements, enemies having resistances or weaknesses, and combat relying on us preparing properly and having top-notch resource management of potions and items rather than twitchy, fast-paced action. So hopefully, like in traditional RPG sense, where knowledge is power. At the start, combat will be quite bare bones, so don't expect too much, even skills are to arrive only later. But you will be able to see the core foundations of combat and what everything will be built upon. So what makes this different than other MMOs? Next to questing, exploration, and combat, Brighter Shores will also have a major focus on living in the world through their vast system of professions. Just before early access, it's known to have at the very least 15 different professions that will interact with the world in very different ways, as there will be gatherers, crafters, and various more active roles, such as being a detective and figuring out mysteries, or a watch person, I assume, dealing with more combat scenarios. We will be able to interact with all the different professions, so we won't be limited to just one or two. In fact, it is said that the whole progression system of the world and the story is specifically set up to slowly drip feed the different activities and episodes and let the player switch in between whenever you get bored of one or you get in the mood to switch to another and do that. This is where I think it's worth to mention that while Brighter Shores will have a few idle activities that you can perform, there's a lot more focus on actively playing the game rather than being AFK. So in this way, professions will offer a large portion of the content and the variety of them, depending on what you're interested in at the moment or what you require for progression, as I assume some of them will be there for money making, others for crafting equipment or valuable consumables, and you will need these for tougher battles, which will be especially valuable if resource management will be important. Then we arrive to monetization. Brighter Shores will be a free-to-play MMORPG with a premium pass model. This means the core and the base content of the game will be completely free. This is already advertised as hundreds and hundreds hours of content you can enjoy, and for those who like the game and wish to progress further to the newest and newly released content, you will have to purchase a premium pass with a one-time or monthly purchase. So what does this mean? It should absolutely not be mistaken for a microtransaction-based or battle pass-based system, as the creator has personally expressed their distaste for MTX and MTX-based games in the past multiple times, so I think Brighter Shores might be safe from those. Instead, what it means is that while most of the game you will be able to access and play as free-to-play, the newest content will be barred for a time being. I assume it will unlock as time and progression goes on, and if you want to experience everything, plus some exclusive benefits, you will have to purchase a pass, but you won't have any other microtransactions thrown in your face, so I think it's a fair system. In practice, with early access, it means, as the picture shows, from the 4 available episodes, you will be able to access the first 2 and all of their content, while the Mine of Mantuban and Chronopolis is accessible with a premium pass along with player trading. To mention here, player trading is apparently also logged behind the pass, as just one of the security precautions and measures to fight the ever-returning issue of bots and botting. Finally, let's talk about the roadmap, or what to expect. Brighter Shores is set to release in early access on the 6th of November and is currently on the path to be fully released hopefully after 6 months, together with the arrival of PvP to the game. This has been tweeted by Andrew himself. The plan is the game will be labeled as early access until PvP is added. I want to let people start playing without having to wait even longer, but acknowledge it's not quite finished at that point. There will not be a save reset at the end of early access. This also means while November 6th is the early access start, as there will be no wipe of progress, this is technically a soft launch of Brighter Shores. So to summarize, for now we will have access to 4 fully finished episodes of the game, with all their stories, progression, combat, and exploration, which is already dubbed as hundreds of hours of content, but player trading is not yet finished, we'll need some more development time, and PvP is hopefully arriving by the end of early access in 6 months, but they have high hopes of creating fun PvP and not rush it. Yes, Brighter Shores will have optional PvP, It has been something I had in mind since day one and been thinking about for years, and I have come up with some good ideas for how to make it work well. For a feature this important, I want to take the time to get it exactly right, so it probably won't be quite ready at launch, but will be a very high priority feature to finish soon after launch. Having years of planning and taking their time with the implementation is a good sign. And remember, Fen Research is an independent studio with no publishers or shareholders pressuring them. They are still likely functioning through the massive success and profits of original RuneScape, so the circumstances seem to be very healthy for a good development cycle and overall environment. But that's Brighter Shores in a nutshell. If you watched the full video, be sure to type HammerMage in the comments below so that I know you were here, as I appreciate all the support. Early access is starting soon, and I plan on covering the game in much more depth moving on, so if you're interested, make sure to like and subscribe. But that's it for now, and I'll see you the next time.